I'm Deepak Dhananjaya. I'm born and raised in Bangalore. I love Bangalore too much. I'm an engineer by qualification. I did computer science. I worked in the IT and different roles, programming, management, client facing, portfolio, heading a department, and then moved into coaching consulting. That's my first profession. My second profession is psychotherapy. I've been a psychotherapist since 15 years now. This is my 15th year. I specialize in transactional analysis, psychosocial methodology, and framework to work. My background in mental health is very much to work with the mental health aspects of how social structures impact mental health of individuals. Under the umbrella of Prabhava Institute of Inclusive Mental Health, I'm the founder of the institute. My first think about boys, I always think about it as, okay, is it what is the society made of boys to be like? You know, not just being a boy. Like, what is the society's narrative around being a boy? Right? We often associate, like you said, to physical strength and how much they can do and how what strong they can be like. The collateral of it is also that emotions are split off from the boys. Yeah, like you can't. They're very cliched, stereotyped statements, right? Don't cry like a baby. Don't cry like a girl. You should be strong. You're brave. I think the idea in the society of strength is completely projected on being a man or a boy just because of my genitals and the way I show up. I think that's one aspect. Okay, what is a respectful boy like? I don't know, but there is a cliched answer to this. The Rahuls of all the Bollywood movies, right? Like the Shah Rukh Khans and who respecting women, who's taking care of women, who's respecting the society, elders. But that's a lot of role taking in some sense. It's an act uh, of being the provider, being emotionally regulated, and doing certain things for people, and all of it. And in different cultures and different aspects, we see what is a respectful boy to be different. Like it's not a one blanket answer to what is a respectful boy. Like in metropolitan cities, um, offering to pay the bill to a woman friend can be disrespectful boy, because then we're not seeing in a restaurant when you go out, right? Then we're not seeing women as equal. But in a not in some other places in India, or in a on a traditional uh, culture, not paying, offering to pay the bill can be disrespectful. It's a dichotomy of the idea of what that boy represents in that culture. I think if a man can be vulnerable, own the emotions, engage with another person, whether it's a man or a woman, doesn't matter. Engage with another person uh, for who they are, without minimizing or maximizing them, is good enough, I guess. But that can be met by the society as respect or disrespectful, which is a challenge. I don't think there is one definition of what a respectful boy should be, other than, of course, no violence, and there's a basic hygienes. Enough people have spoken about how to respect women, how to not be violent, how to all of that, for sure. I think that applies to everybody as a human race. But I think the nuance of the definition of respect is in reference to which culture, where I am. And I don't think there is a pure definition. Sometimes what men are expected to do may not be respectful at all, right? But that's how we are always in the society and the cultural context, and that can define a respect or no respect aspect of the man. I think it's important for us to understand what respect means, like, because respect can mean many things, right? Uh, in some ways, we say respect, and oh, uh, if in a country like ours, which is traditionally heteronormative, focused on married people, and we talk about respect, or the person doesn't, we know respect by elimination, is what my point is. Yeah. Oh, the man doesn't beat, the man doesn't abuse, the man gives freedom, you know, the man treats us as a person. So it's only through eliminating we find the actual meaning of respect. We know what not to be done. And because we have enough experience of what is bad, what is disrespect. I don't think as a society we have grappled enough with what is respect actually, you know. If I come to it, and it may seem controversial, if I take a step back and look at it, res- raising boys is also helping them find their emotional aspect of expression in a healthy way, without violence, and appropriate ways, without substituting with some other emotion. For example, if I am scared, you know, men can get easily angry, right? I mean, it's more accepted. Now we say, oh, it's men, that's why they get easily angry. But actually, is it true that everybody gets angry? But what is allowed for men is being angered, but not scared, right? So can we as a society can think about vulnerabilities to be explored and expressed in appropriate ways, right? And the second thing, which is the most controversial thing, is we also have to teach people, uh, women and men who are attracted to each other, to stop chasing Shah Rukh Khan. You know, I think it's also that, like, it's also helping people not have this archetype of a definition of a man. Then I will in somehow restrict the boys raising. Yeah. Um, and if I stop, I like Shah Rukh Khan a lot. Yeah. He's an archetype of a very respected man, but it's unreal. You see, that's the problem. It's an aspirational. Like he's the one who will support the family. He's the one who will support the wife. He will support the romantic partner, children, provider, everything, right? But what about his emotions? What about his expression? Um, I think that is the key element here, you know, to teaching people stop chasing this idea of one archetype of a man and see the shades of it. Yeah. And willing to engage with different types of archetypes of man. I think that comes also from exploring this, our own definitions, right from when the boys are small. If they like doll, do we give them a doll? Or do we even think the first gift when I'm thinking for a boy is a doll? I don't. I would want to give a car. I want to give. There's somewhere we are molding the minds in some way how to be boys without with good intent, with not malice intent, with good intent. But I don't think the children at that age, 1, 2 year, know the difference of the car and the doll. So it's very, so we have to stop chasing the archetype of what a man should be, and help them find their own ways of liking and dislikes. Yeah. And encouraging them to have healthy expression of feelings and emotions and thoughts. Um, because it's scary if a man is not strong. It's scary for the head of the family, who's a man typically, to break down and say, "I am tired." Yeah, it's scary for a man to not work and be the homemaker. You know, So what happens to all of this pressure that we hold on unconsciously, right? And we then make it about respect and disrespect, but which is not true fully, right? It's very much rooted in the idea of individual sense of who I am. Can I express myself? Can I seek support? Can I still be responsible in the role of wherever I am? Um, but it's very challenging. We've grown up hearing Shravana Kumar's story, then almost about sacrifice, Karna's story of sacrifice, or um, Shah Rukh Khan, who's available, like, for all the women to be floored. I'm take Shah Rukh Khan because I'm an 80s kid. I've seen movies of his growing up and liked a man to be like that. So yeah, I think it's it's a very much collective responsibility of helping them express and changing our archetypes of what a man should be and a boy should be. So early experiences, let's start from the day the boy is born, right? If we see the genital to be a penis, then we say it's a boy, the sex of the boy, right? Then it may not be so evident in metropolitan cities, but you start dressing up the boy in certain way, like the colors we use are blue, yeah. Uh, and then we help them take up roles very early on, like physical roles, yeah, like, oh, you can do this, you cannot do this, you cannot do the kitchen work, but you can do the outside gardening work, or you can learn how to drive and ride and cycle, but not other things of cooking and you know those aspects. And children are learning throughout by observations. What have we created an environment for boys in the home, right? If it's responsibility of both the father and the mother and the grandparents, everybody, right? Like, if the boy is not allowed to the kitchen by mom, then he's getting in his sense of, okay, that's not my role, it's a woman's role. If the father is abusing the mother, not in many overt ways, that's a very easy way to, beating and scolding is a very easy way to categorize. But I'm talking about the more nuances and more so identified as non-harmful ways of abuse, right? Expecting the woman to come back from work and cook, or not expecting the woman to go not work, or when the child has to be taken out for potty, will expecting the woman to take. So there's are small elements that the child is exposed to in the environment, right? Um, don't cry like a boy. Don't cry. Sorry, don't cry like a baby. Don't cry like a girl. Be strong. Be brave. And when they don't throw tantrum, we say, okay, it's a boy behavior. Like, but cut to 20 years later, then you expect the boy to be all sorted. Like, how? It can't be, because you have exposed the environment very early on, uh, through behaviors of the parents itself, what is taught in the schools itself, and and what jobs they take up. Like we see only now it's increasing number of teachers who are men. Like, almost professions are archetyped, right? But you will see a lot of men being engineers, mechanical engineers, very less, women in that. So there's so many elements the child is exposed to as growing up, which I think is an important element which shapes their adulthood. This respect and disrespect doesn't come in the adulthood. It's a result of early experiences of how they've shaped up to in the environment. So can we challenge that, like raising boys in the early on to help them see how vulnerable they are sometimes, and if they cry, to say engage with that cry and see why they're crying, and to normalize those behaviors which are not typically normalized and associated with being a boy. Yeah, and even chores. Can we, not just by telling them to cook, but even the father to be able to do those roles, because they observe they need real role models to introject. keep them in the mind that this, my father also was like that. In my case, for example, my father was an excellent cook. Yeah. And he never blinked an eye to cook. And I think for me, cooking became very natural, because there was a role model. Nobody had to tell me it was, although my extended family would say, oh, cooking is for a girl's job. Why are you entering? But I had a role model in my mind, in my immediate circle, that he would cook and he would enjoy cooking. And I think those are important elements of um, raising boys, which automatically will turn into empathy, right? Empathy is not something that can be induced. Well, you can learn empathy later, but empathy comes from my frame of reference. It's not just a skill. If I have a frame of reference which is different from yours, of what being a boy is, then I will not have empathy, right? Because we have different ideas of what a boy should be. But if I have a same build the frame of reference of what boy can do, which my father did in some sense, then I have a reference that is okay. So then I can be more empathetic to my mother. Then I can be empathetic to another gender. I can be empathetic to my own gender and myself. It can go two ways, right? One is that, okay, then the boy takes on the role of saving the mother. In turn, tries to become stronger and stronger. One day I will stand up for her when I have the voice. In that journey, imbibes all the characteristics of being a man. Again, the archetype, right? Uh, in the other way, is that it's normalized. I mean, I don't see it as a problem at all, right? I don't see this is what men should do. Like for longest years, I talk from my own experience in many of my talks and writings. I thought menstruating women should not go to the temple. It's not good for moral, whatever reasons, right? I mean, it was normalized. I never saw it as an act of oppression or taking away the choice of a woman, because I grew up in an environment where it was normalized. Yeah, my mom wouldn't go to temple when she's menstruating. Nobody says to her that we leave her and go to a temple. So it's very normalized, right? So then that's the difficult part to grapple with, because then I believe the story and I behave like that. And if I see women being abused all around, and nobody is questioning it, maybe there's some support and they say, oh, this is how it will be, you have to adjust. And if I see that kind of an environment, then I say, oh, it's quite okay, women need to adjust. So in both ways we are drawing the archetype. Both are unhelpful ways, you see, in some sense. It actually doesn't provide empathy. In first case, the boy grows up to say, become this, I have to save the mother, so I will be this strong, and I will let go of my emotions, and this is the form. Only saving becomes a form of respect. When this boy meets another person, a man or a woman, then that person doesn't want saving, then that person may experience this boy to be disrespectful. You see, I mean, that's the catch there. In the second option, what I told, it's still very straight out, no empathy, because interjected the same archetype, and I will be this abusive. I normalize abuse, and I will say, this is who I am. I won't show emotions. I will be retracted. I can't talk the emotional language. So you deal with it because I'm a man. So both are taking on the role what the society is given, which is not producing empathy in some sense. That's the impact. It's not an act, it's not an action that parents and teachers can do. It's what they have to live, by role modeling it. So first step is, can they ask these questions? How am I holding the image of a boy in my mind? How am I, not about my son, not about my student, what is the image that I hold of being a man in my mind? And we all like to deny that we hold a man's archetype as Shravan Kumar or, Shravan Kumar or Shah Rukh Khan. Unconsciously, we hold it, but we deny that. We say, no, no, everything is equal. But push comes to the shove, then we end up expecting the boy and the man to be like this, right? So first is really challenging our own ideas of what a man should be in the society. What's a good man that should be, right? Once I identify that, then I can start engaging with boys differently. Yeah. Like for example, if a PT teacher is in a physical training. I mean, we growing up, I called physical education as PT, you know. So I'm using that, and for mostly the viewers to see, that it's physical education. And in the ground, if the boy can't do a four round lap running, yeah, and if a girl can do I immediately do compare that this boy is weak? uh, Even if I don't say it, do I make that connection? If I do that in my mind, even if I don't say it, I will behave differently with that boy, And I've had lived experience of that. I was never a physical, sports person. So a lot of my teachers attributed to be me being feminine, not in a good way, in a very shaming way. Uh, so I was denied opportunities to be in certain sports which I liked. For example, badminton, I liked, but I was not considered because I was not this strong boy enough, capable boy enough, right? That comes, you can't do any action change by that. It can only be done through challenging my own image of who the boy should be. What is this typical boy? And that may cause a little bit distress and shame. That's okay, I guess. That's an investment that we have to do as parents and teachers, uh, to raise a meaningful, respectful, authentic children who are also boys. And the same applies to girls, uh, in relation to boys, right? Like, I mean, I'm talking, how do we raise girls to see man? We do again by elimination, to stand up for themselves, which is all absolutely required. But can we also challenge their archetype of what this perfect man should be? Anything less feels like disrespect, right? Like I work with couples, and sometimes I get think that, oh, he doesn't show respect for me. In deeper exploration, what they're actually telling is they're not being the Shah Rukh Khan for me in my life. I'm not talking about all cases, all straightforward cases of being toxic and abusive is well spoken about. So I'm not talking about that scope. I'm talking about the more nuances which are easily missed and less spoken about, right? And oh, this image of this man should do romantic gestures of bring me flowers on a Valentine Day. I'm not trivializing the pain it causes for the women, right? But why the pain causes is because I've held an image of, if this man does this, only then he loves me. If he likes my stories on WhatsApp or Instagram, is their expression of love, right? If he comes and picks me up, only these meanings are to be challenged. So can we raise girls also to think about the archetypes that they're introjecting of what a respectful man should be, right? Not, I'm not saying that you have to have understanding for toxicity and abuse. No, that is well. We have to help women knowing that this is toxic. I do a lot of work around that, and help boys know that these are toxic behaviors, and also the more normalized idea of what a man and boy should be, challenging the archetypes. I think these are some of the things I think is important beyond regular thing, no harm, no foul, no do these things, no hitting and no abuse. And those are enough spoken about, I think, and I believe. But these are things which are not spoken enough, which I think is more sustainable ways for us to bring in change. Just in my lifetime so far, in 4 decades, I've seen changes happening, right? Like women were not allowed to, or separation was seen as a taboo for women, and things have changed. So, one is patience, that it will change, and that change will take time. And the second part is what I offered in saying, Can I explore these archetypes in myself? Can I create a community of people who want to explore that? Because it can be a lone journey, right? If I do that by myself. But can I have a symposium, parents, teachers come together and talk about this without shaming each other, without getting into this activism mode of canceling the other's viewpoint? Can I talk about how I hold this image of being strong and where I've learned from without the fear of being cancelled by another parent who holds a different viewpoint? Can we support each other in building a new archetype of what a boy should do? Right? And always change happens in groups. People get it intellectually, but deep down, the fear of how I will be seen if I change this, what will happen to my idea of safety and structure if I change this, can be explored through conversations. There's no shortcut to that. So, can we create a community together, even if it's three teachers in the school to come together and talk about it every month once? What did I observe doing myself with this boy who did it? How was it different if it was a girl? Yeah. What am I unconsciously telling them on to do or not do? These are some of the things that needs attention, and only then change can bring in. Otherwise, uh, it's all good for us to want to change, but it can remain only in intellect. And we may even tell that to the children, we may even tell that to boys, but that's not helpful only, yeah, because they need observations, they need deeper, authentic, you know, invitation to explore and guidance that comes only from my challenging my own conditioning and without shame, expanding my frame of reference of different archetypes of being a man. Take simple lesson plans, right? Like my niece is in 10th grade, sorry, 10 years old. She's in 7th grade now, 6th grade now, sorry. Uh, if you look at some of the social science chapters or civic chapters, you will see so much about families, right? Can we even engage with that as a debate, like as a what are different types of families? What is okay, father should do, mother should do this. Okay, what do you think? Like even engaging with those conversations with children, actually you'll be surprised by the way children may think about it, right? What would happen if the father has to go to work and mother has to come? It will also unravel their own, what have they interjected? It gives an opportunity for us to induce another way of thinking. Yeah. So even dialogues about those things in unconventional ways, um, exploring why I'm doing what I'm doing with the boy. Will it be different from a girl if I'm addressing this issue? How do I create that space for the children to talk with each other about this? These are very significant aspects of bringing in change. Very, very typical one, be the provider in different ways, right? You have to earn, settle out, settle in, career, make money, take care of the family, right? Everything is going towards that. That's a very common unconscious message. Not that we shouldn't tell them to be career oriented or successful, but only like when they come to an age of marriage, what do we look at, right? We look at, are they stable enough? Why is that question? Is it like the entire responsibility of the family is on the man? Why is that expectation that okay, if I give this daughter to this man, my daughter will be safe? Like as if the daughter can't also work and contribute to running of the family. You see, this is one of the typical messages I think, be the provider in different ways uh, is given. Um, the other ways also is expression, not crying, uh, or creative things. If they want to do a crochet, for example, would we be okay with that? Would we encourage that? Because there's small things that we say you're okay doing what you like instead of putting the pressure on them that they can't do. So when my creative energy, I like crocheting, I like doing this, I like doing dance in a certain way. When it's taken away from me, it's suppressed. And it does impact my engagement with others. Imagine when I'm stifled, I will have less capacity for engaging with others, right? I will snap easily because that's more accepted. I can't cry. I can't say I'm scared, but only thing I can say is anger. So I start substituting all my vulnerable feelings to anger. And then we say after 20 years, oh, you're a very angry person. Why? Like that was contributed by our society itself. Isn't it? That's the second part to help them be free and creative, engage with that part of them in what they like doing, you know, other than those messages. Not objectifying other people, whether it could be women, whether it could be uh, any person as objects of pleasure. You know, that's the healthiest part. Like we often objectify in many ways, right? Um, for example, or the performance of almost libido is attached to men, and women become the objects of satisfying the libido, right? Now, if you take a step back and look at it, what we're also saying then is it's okay for you to have libido to satisfy your needs. So the other person becomes the object. I think I think that also adds a pressure of what I should be like. That adds the same line of being Shah Rukh Khan. I have to please the women. I have to be in certain way. I have to, you know, there's an aspect of that and objectifying, which is like I can do whatever I want because I'm a man. Right. So really help. That's why it's important to help the children not to objectify other people. Yeah, it starts right from the day one. Like, oh, you have a girlfriend. Like we tease the boys, but we don't ask the girls that same question. Do you have a boyfriend? Like, so we are almost narrating that it's okay for you to think about a girl as a act of possession. That's the first thing. The second thing of being healthy is to engage with their situational expression of feelings. Okay, if you're angry, really, what are you angry about? Is there a different way to express your anger? Or actually, are you scared and you don't know how to say you're scared? You know, um, which will automatically help them own their part and develop some sort of empathy for others. Um, Using movies like Arjun Reddy and Animal as a way of deconstructing the idea of what a boy shouldn't do is healthy because they have only that reference. Both the movies like, I don't know which movies. Dar, I don't know, Shah Rukh Khan's old movie. And there are many movies which shows hero as this romantic, all taken care of, both extremes, using entertainment and media as a way to challenge this archetype and engage with children to say what was good, what was bad, what was helpful, what was not helpful. I think it expands their thinking, and we don't have to do much if we engage in their thinking. They're very creative, and we can correct them at some point. But for them to think about, oh, what was bad in Animal? What was bad in Arjun Reddy? What was good about this dad? What was this eternal love that I seek in, romantic stories? Like really engaging, using this media for as young as 8, 9, 10-year olds to engage with these conversations. Because I have a friend circle who are all having children and of the similar age. So when I first introduced an idea of a game, the boys in the group wouldn't do it, like because they felt it was too girly thing. But then engaging with that idea and helping them enjoy it, and they start realizing, oh, it's not so bad. I enjoy it, and the environment affirming it, right? So that's the key part of it. It has to be in the environment and helping them think about it. We have to keep in mind is separating out the feeling and the behavior. I can be angry, but I don't have to I act out the anger in a violent way, which is harmful for others and self. When I can help children both boys and girls, to make this difference and help them engage with it is the more key part of building resilience. I think switching roles a bit, that if they have a traditional way of doing things at home, switching that, mom and dad switches that between parents, that becomes a reference point for children, and engaging children in house chores differently. Yeah, I remember a friend has two children, and boy and a girl, very young, early on. The father, who's also a friend of mine, was teaching the boy how to do the drilling work. Okay, and the daughter came up and wanted to learn. He said, "No, no. Why do you need to know? You don't need to know, right?" Very loving towards the child. She's the princess for him. But I think my friend did challenge him. Why wouldn't you teach her? Why do you think it's a only boy's job? So switching, helping, engaging with them in chores, right? Engaging boys in chores of kitchen, home, cleaning up, tidying up, washing vessels, their own vessels, dishes, serving food for others, not just for themselves, which is so much normalized for girls, right? Serving for others is normalized. So can we do the other way around? So we're really helping the children structure their brain differently of different references. I think these are simple tips to talk and do, which is very doable. They don't need any skill for it. They don't need to do hard work, take time off, nothing. In the regular day, if they can switch this and engage with that, even if they don't have to teach anything, they will learn automatically. Like my mom never sat me down and said, "Oh, you can do cooking." No, because I saw my father cook and I started liking. I started develop. I developed love for cooking. So then I automatically, nobody had to tell me that, right? But when my friends circle, oh, they're all surprised. Oh, you can cook. Like, why wouldn't I can cook? I mean, I can cook, but that comes as a surprise. But that's what it's surfacing, the idea of what a man should and capable and not capable of doing, right? So just the small things of change is very, very helpful in a long run. And zero investment, quick returns you see. I think we have to break this idea of polarity, boy versus girl. I think that's the first step. If I can see boy versus girl, like if I continue this polarity, I continue the split between man versus women. Now, when the boy says that's not what I'm supposed to do, to even engage with what are you supposed to do? What do you think is supposed to be done? You know, that may be an opening conversation actually, without having to punish the child, right? Uh, to say, where did you learn this from? Where did you get an idea? Okay, I've seen you doing father. Okay, yes, I think we have done a bad job of telling you how to be a man. Maybe right now we want to do it. That's why it's important we live it. That's why I said in the beginning that we have to live these things rather than by saying it, right? If I am changing it, I have to change for myself, and they have the verbal permission and visual permission to see it. Both needs to corroborate. I can't tell my girl to stand up for herself when I'm, as a mother, being quiet when something happens to me. It's a lot of pressure for the child to go because she doesn't have a reference of what is standing up like. Same with boys. Oh, you have to do other chores, but they don't have a reference. It's good for us to develop reference for them. One of the ways is to have ongoing conversations. Keep a time aside every month in schools, for example. Take a movie, deconstruct the movie, because they are in the entertainment industry, right? They get reference from there also. Now Instagram reels are there, just 2 minute reels. Take them and deconstruct them with them. We don't have to be scared about being wrong, or we don't have to be scared about, I think we have to deal with our own incapability to provide an answer. We will not have an answer, but we can build an answer together with the children. To even ask what was okay about this reel, what was not okay about this reel, what was okay about this movie, what was not okay about this movie. I think what we're doing then is we're not giving them a rule book of what to be a man, but we're helping them think about different scenarios and help them develop it, right? I think that's the key part. We can't put a rule, we can't make a guideline of things to do because we know it only by things not to do. But there are many nuances of it. Can we help help children, both boys and girls, to think and expand their capacity to challenge these things? If they're not able to see it, can we offer a thought? Oh, why do you think this man always stands up and takes care of the woman? Do you see any problem in that? What happens to him? What happens to the girl? What does the girl think about him herself in this? Like, helping them think about every situation. Monthly one movie circle and debate like that would be very helpful, which I found it very useful when I work with children. You know, they can come up with so many ways of expanding their thoughts. I'm so thrilled all the time. I don't have to do the work, they do the work by themselves. We underestimate the capacity that children cannot do, and we have to tell them. But clearly, given an opportunity, more sustainable because it's their thought. They have expanded, they challenge each other, and it's brilliant. Like, I think when we think about it, it's very more sustainable and less work for us to do. Like I said, the danger is respect and disrespect is so much cultural context. We can get carried by that lens. But authentic boy, how would it look like when, if they can say things like, I'm hurt and I'm sad and I'm scared without having to put a show, right? When I can see boys engaging in a equal kind of conversation with other genders, right? I think that's a key for me. Uh, Negotiating those boundaries with other people. Do you want me to pay or shall I pay? I can't pay today. Or, I can't do this today because I'm tired. I'm willing to do this tomorrow. Like, it's not a standard one thing all the time, right? If they're able to negotiate and explain the rationale, that's a very important thing for me. If they express difficult emotions directly instead of roundabout way of acting it out, like throwing a tantrum or banging the wall or door or beating somebody up. And I think instead of doing that, to say, you know what, I'm angry right now, I need some time off, let me talk to you after that. Or I'm angry because you always ask me to do this, can I express my anger more healthily, like that? It's too much of an expectation, but that's what I would look for, in a boy growing up. And not to resort, somebody who will not resort to violence because I'm a man and I can do it and I can get away with it. Not to resort to that. That's the key element for me. Uh, Being authentic, engaging, sharing, negotiating, and non-violent. Ask them to do something that you've never told them to do. If they've always gone to buying groceries by themselves, ask, if you have a daughter, to ask her to go and buy. Even that also is thing, right? Or if you have never asked your son to serve and only mother has been serving, not even the sister, but mother has been serving, ask your husband and male partner to serve that day, right? Just like one action that they've never done, you know, that can be it. It can open space for conversation on the dining table. Why did dad do today serve this? You know, that can be a beautiful dinner conversation. I think for me, I come back to home because there's so much references we learn from homes, and powerful ones, helpful ones, and limiting ones. I think that's where I think one thing parents can start doing. One thing that they never asked their son to do. I think one of the things I would like to say is we are a society built in binary. Okay, like black and white, man and woman. Yeah, we've made it like that. but there is different shades of gender expression beyond what a man and woman should do. I think if we can keep that in mind, yeah, that a man can be in different ways, a woman can be in different ways, and all ways, as long as it's authentic, no harm for other, no harm for self, is a good reference to build. We have to break the idea of binary idea of what a man and a woman should do. I think that would be my parting notes.